All right, good evening, everyone. Want to call this meeting of the Caldwell County Board of Commissioners for April the 10th, 2023 to order. We'd like to welcome those who are in our audience this evening, as well as those who are joining us by TV. And our first item on our agenda is our invocation. Micah Steele, the youth director at Temple Baptist Church, is going to come and lead us in that. And following that, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance, and Commissioner Jeff Branch will lead us in that. So welcome, Pastor.
Thank you. Let's pray. Dear Father, we thank you, Lord, for giving us this day. Lord, we know that every day that you give us, it's a blessing. And Lord, I pray that we use it for your glory and for your honor. Lord, I thank you so much for yesterday, Lord, where we celebrated your resurrection, celebrated what you've done for us. And so, Lord, we thank you that we were sinners, Lord, that you died for us. And Lord, you died for our sins. And Lord, you rose from the dead, proving that you are God and you are the one that can save us from our sins. And so, Lord, I pray that you'd help us this evening, Lord, as we just dive into different issues in this county, Lord, this town. I pray that you would just lead us and guide us. I pray that you lead every decision that's made tonight, Lord, that be for your glory, for your honor. I pray that you bless this meeting, and we love you, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Everyone face the flag, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, everyone. Do we have any additions or deletions to our agenda this evening?
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, we had one last-minute addition. We posted in the new agenda as item number 3, Proclamation of Clean Caldwell for 2023. We omitted that with all the other items that we have here. It's a bigger agenda than normal.
So you admitted that?
We omitted by accident. It's there now, number 3.
Okay, I got you. All right. All right, any other discussion about our agenda? And if not, do I hear a motion we adopt?
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept this evening's agenda as the county manager is presented.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. And our first item on the agenda this evening is a public hearing. We're going to do a road name change from Yount Place to Wilcox Way. Micah Kelly is with us this evening, so welcome.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So as previously stated in the last Commissioners meeting, calling for a vote to the acceptance of a new name of a road from Yount Place to Wilcox Way.
All right, and so with that recommendation, I'll declare the public hearing open. I don't think we had anyone sign up for the public hearing, and so with that, I'll close the public hearing and ask what the pleasure of the board is this evening in adopting Wilcox Way.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we adopt this name change from Yount Place to Wilcox Way.
All right, any other discussion or comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mike.
And next is a resolution. Miss Anna Martin, our health director, is here this evening, and we're going to adopt a resolution recognizing April as Public Health Month. So, Anna, take it away.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Before I read this resolution, I do want to take a chance to thank you all for what you do for public health and our department. We do appreciate everything you do for us. All right. So whereas the week of April 3rd, 2023 is National Public Health Week and April 2023 Public Health Month, and whereas in 2020 the life expectancy at birth for the population of the U.S. declined by 1.5 years, which is the largest drop in life expectancy since 1943. And whereas many of the leading causes of death for individuals in the U.S. result from chronic conditions, which are among the most common, costly, and preventable of all health challenges, and whereas there are significant differences in the health status of individuals living in the healthiest states and those living in the least healthiest states, including differences in obesity rates, the prevalence of chronic disease, and the prevalence of infectious disease. And whereas over 47,500 lives were lost due to suicide in 2019 and in May 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas despite significant progress in reducing the infant mortality rate in the U.S. to a historic low of 5.6 infant deaths per 1,000 live births in 2019, the infant mortality rate in the U.S. still greatly varies among states. And whereas women die from pregnancy-related complications in the U.S. at a higher rate than in many other developed countries, and an estimated 60% of maternal deaths in the U.S. are preventable. And whereas there were an estimated 100,306 drug overdose deaths in the U.S. during the 12-month period ending in April 2021, the highest level ever recorded during a 12-month period. And whereas the vaccination is one of the most significant public health achievements in history and has resulted in substantial decreases in the number of cases, hospitalizations, and deaths associated with vaccine-preventable diseases. And whereas public health professionals help communities prevent, prepare for, mitigate, and recover from the impact of a full range of health threats, including disease outbreaks such as COVID-19 pandemic, natural disasters such as wildfires, flooding, and severe storms, and public health emergencies. And whereas efforts to adequately support public health and the prevention of disease and injury can continue to transform a health system focused on treating illness into a health system focused on preventing disease and injury and promoting wellness. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed April 2023 Public Health Month.
All right. So Anna has read that proclamation, and I appreciate her and the staff putting that together and all the recognition for our public health workers and all that they do, standing for and taking care of our public health within our county, not only here, but within the state. And a lot of things, I serve on the Board of Health, and there's a lot of things under our health department and the things that you folks do. And so it's an honor to be able to recognize our health department and public health employees as a whole. So I make a motion that we adopt this proclamation as has been read by Miss Anna Martin this evening. And I ask if anybody else has a discussion or comment.
I echo the chairman's statement about thanking you guys for all you do. It's sometimes I know it's a thankless job, and you wonder sometimes if you're truly appreciated in every day what you guys do, especially during the COVID pandemic. That was a big time for everybody. It was a big challenge for everyone, and you guys did a wonderful job with that, and I commend you for everything you guys do out there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
You touched many lives in Caldwell County. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Hearing that, I'll call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries unanimously. So thank you again for that. Next is a proclamation for a clean Caldwell 2023. Miss Mallory Keller is with us this evening.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
I hope everyone is well. This afternoon, I am requesting adoption of the 2023 Clean Caldwell Roadside and Waterway Litter Pickup Day proclamation as presented. Whereas Caldwell County is committed to maintaining clean and beautiful communities for residents and visitors alike. And whereas litter along our roadsides and waterways not only mars the natural beauty of our landscapes, but also poses a threat to the health and safety of our environment, wildlife, and citizens. And whereas Caldwell County recognizes the importance of community action in addressing the issue of litter and promoting environmental stewardship. And whereas roadside cleanup efforts will improve the aesthetic appeal of Caldwell County, increase awareness of the need for cleaner roadsides, and emphasize the importance of not littering, and whereas a clean and healthy environment is essential to the well-being and prosperity of our communities. Whereas the Caldwell County Board of Commissioners urge all citizens of Caldwell County to join together in a coordinated effort to pick up litter along our roadsides and waterways. By working together, we can make a significant impact in cleaning up our communities and protecting our environment. Now therefore, the Caldwell County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim May 13th, 2023 as the third annual Clean Caldwell Roadside and Waterway Litter Pickup Day. We encourage all individuals, community groups, and organizations to participate in this important event, and we thank you in advance for your commitment to keeping Caldwell County beautiful and sustainable.
All right. Thank you for reading that, Mallory. And I'm going to throw it to you, Commissioner Potter, because I know you're going to want to talk about this one.
Well, I was telling somebody the other day, it's not just a problem across our county, it's a problem across our state and across our nation. We as a society have accepted the fact that it's okay just to throw your stuff out on the side of the road or out in the lakes and the rivers, and unfortunately, that's why we've gotten to where we are today. So I appreciate our community's efforts, and I appreciate Mallory's efforts in bringing this day together on May 13th so that we can make an impact in our community. I appreciate everything you're doing in our schools. For the ones who don't know, you're doing a whole lot in our schools as well. I think the commissioners may know, but you're doing a lot of education around this issue in the schools as well. So thank you for all you're doing, and on behalf of myself and the rest of Caldwell County, I will make a motion to approve this proclamation that she read.
All right. Any other comment? I'll call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that carries unanimously. Now, don't run, because he's hit on something, and I'm going to give you just a minute to, this is your free time to be able to tell folks in Caldwell County what the commissioners and specifically what you're doing toward our solid waste efforts and the things that you're doing. If you got just a brief something to tell us about, and I know that you're getting into the schools now, and so we're certainly appreciative of that. And this has all kind of come about because of the things going on with our roadside litter and, of course, solid waste and collections and recycling. So
Yes.
Mallory's here on staff now, came on last December-ish, if I'm thinking right.
Yes,
And-
yeah,
Like that, yeah.
October, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and has hit the ground running, trying to put a different spin and keep folks kind of in line and publicizing what's going on with the litter on our highways. So
Most definitely, yeah. It's an ongoing issue, as we all know. And it's progressively gotten worse. I think that's noticeable across the county and the state. A couple weeks ago, I was given the opportunity to attend the Carolina Recycling Conference in Wilmington, where I was able to obtain a lot of helpful resources from other municipalities to individuals. It was a wonderful experience, but for those of you in the county who don't really know what I do, I get the opportunity and the joy of going to talk to kids and students, not only kids, but young adults rather, on the importance of recycling and how to rid of their waste properly.
Yeah.
So it's something, I was really surprised when I first started going into the schools how many families do not recycle, and how many of individuals were not aware of those practices. So it's been a great opportunity. I'm just getting into the meat of everything, really. And so I've had a great response, a lot of support from the teachers, the students. Everywhere I've been so far, they've asked me to come back, so that's good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So to make a good name for us and to get that information out there. But I appreciate you guys giving me that opportunity, and I'm ready to keep on going. So
Yeah.
we have a lot of fun and exciting things coming up. We were granted or funded through a grant rather, but I don't want to get too into that right now, but yeah.
So you have written some grant opportunities, and we're receiving those. And
Yes.
so
Yes, we are.
it's moving forward, and so
Yes.
we really appreciate all your efforts and
Yeah,
wanted
I
to give you
appreciate you
a
guys.
chance to let folks know.
Yes,
Tell
thank
us
you.
tell us one more time, when is it, where, and what they can, how do they sign up? I know we'll
Yes.
probably be putting that on our website,
Yes.
county website, but tell us one more time.
So it is on our county website now, and I also have flyers available that has been displayed on our Facebook page. There's a QR code that folks can scan. They can go sign up. It'll take them straight to the form to sign up. It's May 13th, and we'll be starting at 8 o'clock, and we'll meet at the fairgrounds, at the Caldwell Fairgrounds. And we'll start, unless, it's otherwise discussed, but, and then folks will, through that form, they can choose a designated area, so they don't have to, if they think that their road, and that's perfectly fine, is in need of litter pickup, then most definitely, they're welcome to sign up and say, hey, we're going to start here and do the stretch along XYZ. So, and we'll have all of that information. Hopefully we can get, and I have that in the works as well, so they can actually pin the locations that they have trash that's been collected or waste.
Yeah.
That way it'll make it easier for DOT to come pick those bags up. That way we know how many bags, and it helps us keep better track of what all's being collected. So,
And we're furnishing the bags and the vest as we have in the past, correct?
and the grabbers as well,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
And that's a key to say that we're being proactive. And I
Most
know we
definitely.
oftentimes, as commissioners, and I've took some blastings over, I'm just telling you,
Mm-hmm.
over people thinking that we're not doing anything, and we're doing a lot.
Yes.
And this is evidence of that by bringing you on staff and trying to get in that direction. We last year contracted with a group that is now picking up some of our roadways that the state doesn't pick up. A lot of people
Correct.
don't realize that, but they're only picking up the main thoroughfares, 1864, 321.
Yes.
So any
Yeah.
side roads or any municipal roads that bear off of that is the county's responsibility. So
Correct,
we're trying to get them picked up as well, and so the first thing we do is, and you're doing that, is the education to get people to quit throwing it out.
Yes.
Just carry
Yep.
it somewhere.
And securing their
Loads.
waste as well,
Yeah.
on the way to the landfills, so.
And most people don't realize that there is a North Carolina general statute that states
Yes.
that you're supposed to cover your loads when you're traveling with a trailer or a truck. You're supposed to cover your load so it doesn't blow out on the side of the road.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, thank you again.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you,
Matt.
Mallory.
I appreciate it.
All right. Next, we have a presentation. Ms. Kim Case is here, myFutureNC. So welcome, Kim.
Thank you. All right. And Abby, what do I do to get to my presentation?
Eric will take
Oh, thank you so much. All right. Chairman Church, Vice Chairman LaBrose, and Commissioners, thank you for an opportunity to speak on behalf of myFutureNC and to ask you to join our local attainment-focused community work. As you know or may not know, I serve as myFutureNC's Northwest Prosperity Zone Regional Impact Manager, and we are a statewide All right, let's see. I'm not sure that I can see this from here to do slideshow. Are you able? Oh, we're out there. I'll scroll. How's that? All right. So, perfect. All right. So we are a statewide nonprofit formed out of bipartisan legislation, House Bill 664. We were formed in 2019. Well, this is just, there we go, hands off. We were formed in 2019, and we have the goal of 2 million by 2030, which means that our goal is that we have 2 million 25 to 44-year-olds who hold an industry-valued post-secondary degree or credential. That doesn't mean a four-year degree. That means any degree that leads to an industry-valued or high-quality job. We believe that a better educated North Carolina is the key to economic prosperity and upward mobility for all our citizens. So it's an education workforce alignment organization. A lot of words there, but basically that means that we want better lives and better jobs for everyone, and we want to meet industry demands. Right now, we are falling about 444,000 short of that goal, of that 2030 goal. So what we need are local attainment efforts that are focused, all these great initiatives that are happening to come together to meet that goal. Right. Our leadership, as you'll see, is a cross-sector board from policymakers, department heads, business leaders, education. We meet 4 times a year with quarterly board meetings. And we also have a 62-member advisory board of commissioners, which I am pleased to say Mike LaBrose is a member of that advisory board. So we appreciate that. Also, Dr. Mark Porch is a member. Local collaborations are the way that we're going to meet the goal. And so what we're asking is that our local sectors, government, education, business, and industry come together to resolve to form an attainment plan, a local attainment-focused plan. Okay. Across the region, I connect with the Appalachian Regional Commission, with workforce development boards, with superintendents, with NCDPI, so we also work regionally. All right. This leaky pipeline is probably one of the best illustrations of what's happening in our alignment between education and workforce, and that is that for every 100 ninth graders that start on a post-secondary attainment pathway, we have less than a third who actually complete that pathway. So only about 28 seniors get that post-secondary credential or degree within 6 years of graduation. Now, as a parent, that mattered to me quite a bit, that I had children who were entering the workforce within a timely manner. What we do at My Future is look at that pipeline and look at the ways that we can alleviate this, we can fill gaps. Another reason that is so critical is because 2 out of every 3 jobs are going to require credentials or post-secondary degrees in our future. I see some head nods there. All right, the ways that we work, are through accelerating action, such as presentations to commissioners, to school boards, to other groups in the community. I actually spoke with the Lenoir Arts Council about work that was happening there and how art connects to the workforce. So it's out-of-the-box thinking as we accelerate action. We identify and advocate for policy solutions, and we also monitor and report progress. All right, you have in your packets our local attainment profile, which is our cornerstone document. Every county has a local attainment profile. They'll be published every year forward in February. Those data points show us local key indicators. About 50% of our indicators come from the educational sector. Others come from census data, from NC Commerce. So that data is compiled to recommend local goals and then also to identify some opportunities for growth. All right, so here are our 18 key performance indicators, and they show you from cradle to career pathways and transition points where that leaky pipeline may get accelerated. If you'll notice under academic readiness, NC pre-K enrollment is an indicator that we think is very important for 2 reasons. One, it's workforce preparation for our earliest learners, but also because if you don't have childcare, you certainly can't go to work. And so that also is cutting into our current workforce immediately. College and career access, you might recognize FAFSA. FAFSA, which seems like, why does it really matter, opens opportunities. About 88% of students who first time fill out the FAFSA go on to college or a post-secondary degree of some sort, as opposed to 39% who do not. So that FAFSA number matters. Post-secondary completion, we look especially at first-year persistence. They get there, but do they stay there? And if they don't stay there, where do they go? We have some great data from the National Student Clearinghouse that we can track over time from 2014 until now to see what's happening to those students once they leave the public school system. And in workforce alignment, which is probably one of my favorite, is how is education aligning with workforce needs and what does that look like? And we've done some pretty cool work recently in Caldwell County with an innovation showcase that brought employers together with the community college and the school system to work on projects that were workforce profession based. So that was some of the work that we're doing here locally already. All right, another piece of information on those county attainment profiles are opportunities for growth. Now, in the state, you'll see the green highlights. Those are the state opportunities for growth. But in our county, in 2022, those highlights in red, adult and non-traditional learners, college and career ready in math, and then opportunity youth are the three noted opportunities for growth. We'll relook at our data each year. We work with Carolina Demography out of UNC to compile this data, look at that again, and then offer that up for counties to say these are areas where we might get the biggest bang for our buck if we work in these areas. However, they're not the only areas because every plan is locally owned and driven. Even though we are a state-led organization, the work's up to us at the local level. I'm here to facilitate, to have conversation, to provide data, answer questions, but what we choose to work on as a county is truly up to us as a community. All right, one area that I really wanted to point out, because as I said, I work across the 12 counties in our prosperity zone. In our Western Piedmont Council of Government Workforce Development Region, Opportunity Youth is a noted opportunity for growth for all of our counties. And Opportunity Youth mean that those are 16 to 24-year-olds who are neither employed nor enrolled, which means they're doing something, but we don't know what that something might be. So tracking them is difficult. Across the state, 1 in every 9 16 to 24-year-olds is neither working nor employed. So that's a huge concern for us. Currently in Burke County, there's an Opportunity Youth initiative that we're partnered with UNC School of Government, so I support them in that. But I see that as a bigger issue and something that we really might want to focus on across this Western Piedmont Council of Government region, and specifically in Caldwell County. Right, another initiative that you might be interested in for Caldwell County particularly is called NC Reconnect. Dr. Porch was in the second cohort with Caldwell Community College and Technical Institute to really get those workers, those learners who have some degree, some credentialing, some programmatic studies back into the system. And they're doing some pretty cutting-edge work. That's sponsored in partnership with the John M. Belk Foundation and NC State Belk Center. So we have partners at all levels. We believe in collaboration. We think that's the only way forward. And what that looks like at the local level matters a lot. Some other initiatives, I didn't put slides in here because I know you have a packed agenda tonight, but FAFSA work in a few counties, college and career access is another one. And then we worked with, again, the UNC School of Government to sponsor local educational attainment collaboratives. The work in Burke and the McDowell Pipeline were two of those initiatives that were partners in that work. What we want to do is talk about what that looks like in Caldwell County and how we can work as a local collaborative to move some of our adult learners forward. All right. We also advocate for policy changes. We have not to date written any policy, but we do support policy that is nonpartisan or bipartisan. One is career planning. The Department of Public Instruction is currently, and I believe it has made it now to the Senate, perhaps getting there. I didn't check this morning. But the Department of Public Instruction is calling for career planning for middle and high school students. And that's more than just a checklist. That's real conversations with students about what do you want to do, what do you need to do to get there, how can you get there, and how can we support you as an educational system. So excited about that work. And then raise scholarships. You may or may not know that FAFSA only covers a portion of funding for education. If it's a short-term credential that doesn't lead to a degree program, an associate or a four-year degree, FAFSA won't cover that. So we're asking that these RAISE scholarships, which is reinforcement and investment to strengthen the economy, is adopted for our learners who just need a little bit to get them back in, get that credential paid for, because we know those credentials can lead to some really high-paying jobs. Whoops. All right. So this evening, one thing I'm asking is that you consider a resolution to endorse our state goal, which is at $2 million by 2030, to adopt a local attainment goal, and I'll show you that number in just a second. When we met with local leaders from those sectors across education, business, industry, and government, they decided a stretch goal was appropriate, which would mean 51% instead of 50%, and I'll show you actual individuals that means on the next slide. Also, that we develop a local attainment action plan, that we execute that action plan, because we can develop all the plans in the world, but if we don't get to work, we're probably not going to get anything done. And then we believe that we will see increased accelerated local attainment rates to get us over that hump. And we don't just look at 2020, 30, but we are looking into the future. You know, we don't think that in 2020, 30, all things workforce will be solved. But if we have good plans in place and we're working collectively cross-sector, we can get anywhere. So I am asking you to join cross-sector leaders in Caldwell County to support the myFutureNC resolution. Was fortunate last Thursday for the Caldwell County School Board to adopt the resolution, and I'm on the agenda for Caldwell Community College and Technical Institute's Board of Trustees, as well as the Chamber and the EDAC's meetings to present to them. The stretch goal, what this would mean for us is that we develop a plan to reach 11,149 total individuals. If we do everything we're already doing, projections say that we'll get 9,056 individuals. We need to reach our goal and do our share, 2,093, just a little over 2,000 individuals. So that would be our immediate goal. And of course, the ultimate goal is to build a plan that moves us into the future and keeps us really forward and ahead of the workforce development initiatives for Caldwell County. So I believe there's a resolution in your packet. I don't know that this is the time for that.
It is for the agenda tonight.
It is for the agenda tonight. All right. Then if you'd like to look at that, I can read this resolution. I guess perhaps I should ask for questions first. What can I answer for you? It's a lot of information, and I always think, what do you need to know first?
How much is this going to cost us?
It doesn't cost anything that you don't decide you want it to cost. Collaboration and making a plan together is free. What you choose as a local community to do then is up to each organization. I will say, and your resolution mirrors the one that all of the organizations have adopted, was reviewed by Destin Hall. So there is no legal obligation as far as financial responsibility, unless you choose for there to be, and that's up to you.
I believe what the myFutureNC brings together what the county school system, and the community college are already doing with vocational, CTE, Skills USA, early college, middle college, all those things, just kind of put them in a nice package and really focus in on really the attainment instead of just kind of being scattered. And I think that's what a lot of counties are doing through myFutureNC, because if we're all going towards one goal with these men and women that not necessarily four-year degrees, but a two-year degree or credentials, it will really fill those empty jobs spaces, because I think we all know that we have so many job openings for these skilled labor areas, and we just need to, as a county school system and community college, just really focus in and put our ideas together. So yeah, I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. So do you have that proclamation resolution?
I have it right here.
You want to read it?
I would be glad to, with glasses. All right. The resolution to support the myFutureNC attainment goal. whereas myFutureNC is a statewide nonprofit organization focused on educational attainment and is the result of cross-sector collaboration between North Carolina leaders in education, business, and government. And whereas North Carolina has the goal of 2 million North Carolinians will have a high-quality credential or post-secondary degree by 2030. And whereas Caldwell County is committed to ensuring that 51% of individuals ages 25 to 44 have a post-secondary degree or credential by 2030. And whereas Caldwell County agrees that North Carolina faces a gap between the projected needs for citizens with high-quality credentials or post-secondary degrees and the attainment of those high-quality credentials or post-secondary degrees. Now therefore, be it resolved that Caldwell County supports and endorses the attainment goal of myFutureNC that 2 million North Carolinians should have a high-quality credential or post-secondary degree by 2030. And Caldwell County supports and adopts the local educational attainment goal of 11,149 individuals with a high-quality credential or post-secondary degree by 2030 in Caldwell County. And Caldwell County, along with leaders in business, education, state and local government, and community organizations, will continue to foster collaboration to achieve the goal by developing an action plan, defining success with measurable outcomes, executing on the action plan, and sharing successful practices with myFutureNC and peer communities.
All right. So hearing that proclamation, what's the pleasure of the board in adopting that this evening?
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept this evening's resolution to support myFutureNC attainment goal.
All right. Any other discussion or comment? I will add, and I think you said it in your presentation, Kim, but FAFSA, is there a move afoot to try to get FAFSA and or Pell Grants and or some sort of funding for some of these credentialed service areas, i.e. truck driver training, HVAC, welders? I mean, all of those things have kind of been out of the purview, but we're trying to bring that in to where there's some funding for those folks to be able to get scholarships, if you will.
Yeah. Those would be in the RAISE scholarships. A piece that we'll want to be involved in and that county committee will want to talk about is industry value credentials. There's a committee at the state level that's looking at what credentials actually mean industry valued, and there's 4 levels. There's foundational, career, advanced, and then there's a 4th one that's left my mind. But the 2 middle levels, which actually you're on the job or it's going to lead to those higher paying jobs immediately, are the credentials that we're looking at identifying with that group.
Yeah.
Dr. Porch has just had a meeting last week about that exact thing, about which ones and how do we make sure that we aren't missing someone or leaving someone out that needs that opportunity.
Right. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Then I'll call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that carries unanimously. So thank you, Kim.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to enter into a quasi-judicial public hearing. Ms. Shelley Stevens is coming in, will be a part of that testimony, if you will. And usually in quasi-judicial public hearings, I throw it to our attorney to be our lead judicial official. So, Mr. Lackey, you now have it, sir.
Thank you. May I dispense with the robe, please?
Yeah.
Did we have a sign-up sheet for this?
We did, and I don't think anyone signed up.
We didn't have any individual sign up for it.
Is there anyone who is here to speak to the James Michael Bridges application for a special use permit for a guest house on his property that didn't sign the? Okay. And let me have your names, please.
James Michael Bridges.
Mr. Bridges.
And Charlie Bridges.
Okay. So the two of you do want to be heard.
Ms. Stevens has done a magnificent job to date. She represents us very well.
Okay, so you're satisfied just with her testimony?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Then Ms. Stevens, let me have you to be either sworn or affirmed, please.
If you will place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? This is your solemn affirmation. I do.
And members of the board, I have handed out, before we got underway this evening, 2 pages. The first page shows you the particular requirements for the guest house special use permit, and then the second page, I've highlighted the findings that apply to any special use permit. So with that, Ms. Stevens, would you please identify yourself, tell us what your position is with Caldwell County, and your training and experience in land use planning?
Sure. Hope everyone had a nice Easter. I'm Shelley Stevens, and I'm the Caldwell County Planning Director. I have a Bachelor's of Arts in Public Policy and a Master's degree in Urban Planning, and about 10 years experience in planning, mostly in the public sector, but a little bit in the private sector.
All right. And Ms. Stevens, if you would tell us about the application and your review of the application, and specifically how it does or does not comply with the requirements of the ordinance.
Sure. So this is the first special use permit request of 2023. And the request specifically is for a guest house. The applicant, as mentioned, is James Michael Bridges, who's here today. He's also the property owner. And the location of the request is 6020 Rocky Mount Road, which is in the unincorporated area of Caldwell County, outside the cities. It's in the southeastern portion of Caldwell County, and it's adjacent Lake Hickory. The acreage for the parcel where the guest house would be is 8.17 according to GIS, and it's zoned residential agricultural, which is for single-family residences and agricultural uses mostly. And that's what the surrounding parcels are also zoned. And this is a site plan showing what they propose to build on that 8.17 acre parcel. So if you look at the top of the site plan, you can see the house, and that's actually the southern portion of the parcel. And we'll look at an aerial layout of the parcel here in a moment, a photo. So the house would be facing Lake Hickory, which would be to the south, and then behind that would be a concrete parking area with a garage to the left. And then if you go a little further back and then to the right, you can see the guest house there that they're proposing. So that would be in the rear yard. And this is what the parcel looks like from GIS. So there's not a house there currently. This is an older photo, and that's Rocky Mount Road up there in the northern area, and then Lake Hickory down south. And again, the house would face the lake, and the guest house would be in the rear yard. And here's a more recent photo from NearMap, and it actually even shows where they've gotten their permits to start building their house, so you can kind of see the outline of the house there, closer to the Lake Hickory side. And you can see kind of the open field that is their parcel. And the guest house itself would be 1,292 square feet, which is 21% of the total square footage of the house, according to their application. And this is an allowed special use, as David mentioned when he mentioned the conditions, listed in the zoning ordinance for the residential agricultural district, so we do allow these. And I and the planning board both looked at the conditions in the zoning ordinance, and the application does meet those conditions that are listed in the zoning ordinance in section 80C.2E on the planning department's website if you pull up the ordinance. And there's also public water available to the site, just as an interesting piece of information according to GIS. And so you all will be completing a fact-finding process, as always with the special use permit process, during this quasi-judicial hearing to determine if the use meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance and if it is allowed or not. And at this time, we have no evidence, meaning the planning board or planning staff have not received any evidence indicating that this special use would negatively impact the health, safety, or welfare of the community. And the applicant, as noted previously, may provide testimony or other evidence during this hearing if they would like to go along with that which is in their application, but they don't have to. The application can serve as the piece of evidence that they want to use if they would like. And other people may also speak again, as David mentioned when he brought up the sign-up sheet, if they would like to provide testimony, which would be considered evidence regarding whether the application meets all requirements and with regard to, in fact, only health, safety, and welfare of the community. And so no one signed up for that information, so I'll just briefly go over the conditions that y'all have a copy of and that I was going to mention. So what they had to meet from the zoning ordinance is that the guest house needed to be in the rear yard, which it is, proposed to be. It needed to be a similar architectural style to the house, which it is. They're both going to be craftsman style and they're going to match. And it would have to meet the setbacks of the primary structure, and it definitely is well within the setback requirements for residential agricultural zoning, which are 30 feet from the front property line, 10 feet from the sides, and then 25 feet from the rear. And then it would also have to, since it's similar to a two-family dwelling, there are two, essentially homes, a guest house and a house, there would have to be an additional 10,000 square feet added to the parcel to our minimum lot size of half an acre, and they greatly exceed that with the 8.17 acres. So it is my and the planning board's belief that they have met all of the conditions of the special use permit requirements in our zoning ordinance to get this special use permit. And the planning board does recommend approval of the special use permit.
Does any board member have any questions for Ms. Stevens?
I do not.
That sort of sounds like a no-brainer to me.
Is that a
Meets all the
question?
requirements and we have nobody protest it. I don't see, I'll make a motion we approve this. Be done with this.
I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so that ends our testimony, and a fine job, Ms. Stevens, in presenting that. And as Commissioner Branch has already made the motion that we approve, I'll ask if there's any other question or comment. If not, I'll call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that carries unanimously. So thank you. Looks like a nice guest house, I'll just say that.
Can we come visit?
Could I be a guest one?
No, we might need a place to go hang out at.
With 4 adult children, married children, and 11 grandchildren.
Yes, sir.
Okay, never mind, we're good.
I feel your pain.
And Ms. Stevens and I will work together and get you a written decision to present to you at your next meeting for formal approval.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Thank you, David.
Are you guys from the county? Are you from here?
We're currently living in the county, but the last 30 years been in Burke County.
Okay, well, welcome to Caldwell, we're glad you're here. Appreciate you.
All right. So thank you, Shelley.
Thank y'all
Thank you,
for all
Shelley,
you
great
do,
job as
too.
always.
Thank you so much.
Next, we have a presentation on the digital access plan, and Mr. Duncan and Mr. Cavanaugh is gonna.
This Duncan Cavanaugh.
It's Duncan Cavanaugh.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you had some
We thought
part
you had
this,
something in it,
too.
yeah.
No, not this time. I'll have the next
Okay.
4 items.
Bless you.
Just me. Well, good evening, Mr. Chairman, and Commissioners.
Good evening.
It's good to be here. Wanted to talk a little bit about a plan that we've been working on here with the county. This is it's called a digital access plan. And where this all started is we received some money from NC State University to create these plans for the region. So I work for Western Piedmont Council of Governments. So we're working on one for each of our 4 counties. And the reason why this kind of came around is because North Carolina Department of Information Technology is going to be offering some grants coming up in the future to kind of address the issues that we've got in the plan here. So if the county decides to pursue grant funding, the folks that'd be looking at those applications would want to know whether or not there's a plan in place first to get that funding if folks decided to proceed with that. So the way this kind of started is we had a half-day workshop over at the COG at our offices with county stakeholders, and We identified the current state of digital access throughout the county. And so we were looking at things, for example, like public Wi-Fi access points. We were looking at digital literacy courses that were offered in the county, primarily through CCC and TI. Public computer access points, digital literacy workshops at the senior center, for example, and other educational problems. So we kind of wanted to get the lay of the land first and see what's already being offered in the county, kind of get a good idea of that before we, and talk to the people who are actually involved in those efforts, so we got a good idea of what's going on. The plan is really kind of focused on finding ways to improve broadband accessibility for folks who may not understand how to get onto the internet, or who may need things like devices in order to be able to get on the internet, say, for example, Wi-Fi hotspots, or maybe use computers, things like that. Or maybe folks who aren't aware of those classes that are out there that can help them learn those digital skills, to be more effective on the internet, to look for jobs on the internet, to work on their resume, all those good things that the internet can bring folks. Or maybe for folks who aren't aware of these, the new subscription discount programs that are coming out. One of them is called the Affordable Connectivity Program. I believe I'm calling it the right name. A lot of folks don't know that it's out there, but it's a discount program that takes some of the price of subscribing to the internet off. So if you qualify for it and you go through the application process, there's the opportunity to bring those costs down. Costs are a big barrier for folks on trying to get broadband access. So it's less about thinking about pipes in the ground or cables and wires and things like that. It's more about education, and you can kind of think about it along the lines of, how can we help students out there get more accessibility? How can we help senior citizens get a little bit more accessibility? That's kind of what we're talking about in the plan here. So the plan has 5 sections, and I'm just going to kind of go through them. It's really hard to see there, but like I said, we in that first day, we had a half-day workshop where we talked to stakeholders from around the county. So we have the current state of digital inclusion in Caldwell County. And you can see some of the information there that I was talking about, just gathering information about what we've got on the ground already so we can make good decisions about maybe applying for grants in the future to either supplement those programs or maybe come up with new ones, depending. The next section is about broadband availability. We use the FCC maps of upload and download speeds throughout the county. And we also added the county broadband survey in there. You can see a few of the questions there. I think it was really important to include this survey because the county's done a lot of work in this regard to get out there and find out the state of accessibility throughout the county. And if the county decides to pursue grant funding opportunities, it's really important to show those funding agencies that this kind of work has already taken place, that the county really does have a good idea of what's happening in terms of accessibility throughout the county. Then the next section was about the broadband adoption potential. And this area of the plan identifies areas in the county to concentrate on outreach, education, and new programs. You can see here we got quite a few maps in the plan. And the way these maps are set up is they're divided by census tract, which are kind of smaller units of the census. It's not the entire county, it's different areas of the county. Say population is about 4,000 to 8,000 folks. And then as the plan proceeds here, we come up with recommendations, and there are actually 17 recommendations here in the plan. And we have them broken out into different categories, say, for example, like policy recommendations, things of that nature. The reason why they're so broad-ranged and so broad-based is because we don't know 100% what these grant opportunities will be from these different agencies that are coming out with this funding. So we wanted to make sure that it's as broad as possible. So we're taking a wide-angle approach and making sure that the plan covers enough to be inclusive and to be eligible for these grant programs coming up. So, for example, some of the projects that could be included or different projects that the county or other counties may be considering applying for funding for would be outreach campaigns to promote and help people sign up for the Affordable Connectivity Program, like I was talking about before, that program that offers discounts for internet subscribers. Maybe even a digital navigator program to help community members get connected or to teach them how to use digital tools and devices like I was talking about before, or maybe access those digital skills classes. Other projects could include things like digital literacy and digital skills courses and training, or establishing or expanding a device lending program, for example. Maybe and when we're talking about devices, we're talking about those Wi-Fi hotspots, or maybe refurbished or used computers that could be distributed to folks so that they can get on the internet and take advantage of that. Or say, for example, maybe for library customers or senior center clients, to be able to check out those Wi-Fi hotspots, actually take them home, or maybe bring a computer home, things along those lines. So that's kind of the plan in a nutshell. I did want to mention that we've got a good listing of other funding opportunities that are out there. This is a really current list. It's current as of the draft today, and it could change in the future, but it's the most current list that we could come up with. And there are a range of other potential opportunities out here for funding as well. It's not just through the state of North Carolina. Some federal programs are offering opportunities, and there are even some nonprofits out there that offer refurbished devices like I was talking about before. So use refurbished devices that could be given to nonprofits so they could share with folks that have the need to get onto the internet. And that is kind of the program in a nutshell. I'm open for any questions that you might have.
All right, does anybody have any questions of Donald? No. Mr. Cavanaugh, Duncan Cavanaugh. I'll get you straight in a minute, I'm sorry.
Confusing, they're two
Dunkins. It was a curveball.
Yeah, it might be the first time I met you, so.
He's been called worse.
Yeah, that is true.
Yes, sir. I did notice, and I know it kind of goes along with what we're trying to do here, but certainly the broadband has been an issue that we've had for a long time in our county. And those residents, I know specifically for me in our north and northwest areas, the Collinsville community and over into Yadkin Valley, Patterson, they all desire to have internet access. They just can't get it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it has been because they've just been left in the dust. So I'm hoping that some of these things will be coming down the pipe that's going to help expand it into that area. And I know I talked to somebody that is currently in the Bluffs. They're saying that Spectrum's in there bringing internet into the Bluffs now. So that was pretty interesting to hear that.
I heard there's a big grant come and Spectrum got grant to go up.
And do we know that, Don, by chance?
They're in a different program.
Energies.
Yeah.
That's a different federally funded program that doesn't require local participation. And I forget the acronym, I'm gonna get it wrong. But that end of the county was franchised out about 3 years ago, but then they got special funding in order to do that.
It's federal money.
Yep, so they're tackling certain areas of that. The biggest thing that's holding up progress is availability of components, parts. So they get a group together, then they go in and do a neighborhood, and then they wait for more, and then they'll go do another one.
Yeah, there's different companies that have been awarded that money. So it's some of it Spectrum. There's another one, Streamline or Stream something. There's about 4 companies that have been allotted some funding to help put service in some of these rural areas.
Well,
I'm anxious to go ahead.
Well, all I was going to say is I think we're going to see that more as supply issue going
Yes.
forward too, because folks are trying to build this out, and they can't get the supplies to do it because it's not being manufactured fast enough. So I don't know how many years it's going to take. I often,
And that particular grant program is 5 to 6 year rollout. The other grants that you participated in, called Great Grants, once they're awarded, you have 2 years to complete. So the first phase is finished, and we're getting ready to start the second phase. We're awaiting the contracts to be finalized.
and I think we're going to see that in multiple areas, because another one is our water infrastructure and trying to build that out.
Yes.
And finding pieces to be able to build that out is going to be a task too. So, but anyway, I appreciate your efforts and appreciate the Western Piedmont Council of Governments and what they're trying to do to get us ahead of that curveball. And we've often found that if we're ahead, then it really works out well when it does come down the pipe.
Yep.
Let me clarify one thing you talked about was the Affordable Connectivity Program. Is that going to be grant funding, or is that available today?
That's available today.
How would we learn more about that, and how could we get the citizens connected to that? Because we have a lot of senior citizens that would absolutely qualify for this in our county. So how would they connect to that?
I can, back at the office, I've got some information. I'd be happy to pass it along, and
That'd be great. We get it to Paige and get it out on our social media stuff. and-
absolutely.
Yep.
On our website
Yep.
and stuff.
Yep.
Yep.
That'd be
They've done some
fantastic.
Links.
They've done
to
some
get
good
us in there.
webinars recently.
Our
and-
library's promoted that some, but beyond the library, we've not had a countywide promotion, so we
Yeah.
have to push that.
Yeah, we should, because first I've heard about it. It'd be a great access, a great program for our seniors here in the county and other folks as well.
Yeah.
It can be a little bit of a challenge to get through that application process to be in the Affordable Connectivity Program. So that's why I think that the folks here at NCDIT are thinking about creating grant programs where staff members or nonprofit staff can actually get out there and teach people and kind of walk them through the process, one-on-one, being able to get through that program, get through the application, and then, enroll.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? We appreciate again you coming, Duncan Cavanaugh. All right, next is a presentation by a well-known name that I've got and memorized pretty well, Mr. Bryan Davis. We call on him all the time.
What do you do again?
Good evening. Wanted to take just a quick moment of your time to give you an overview of the Facility Services Department and its operation. I think, he's got me set up here. First of all, kind of go over how our department is staffed. Of course, myself, our administrative assistant, I have 4 maintenance technicians, 5 housekeepers. I have 1 contractual housekeeper and the 24 site attendants that we all report to the facility services. We have 40 buildings, whether you realize that or not. 40 buildings, structures that we maintain. We have over 442,000 square feet that we maintain, and to kind of put that in a little bit of perspective, that is well over 7.5 football fields. That's the square footage that we are maintaining. Plus, we also have 4 tower sites. And the core competencies of our department, of course, is construction, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, painting, security, landscaping and grounds, and of course, housekeeping and waste and recycling. We have 45 parcels that we are responsible for here in the county. 2 of those parcels are leased. Those 2 leased parcels are the old animal shelter on Fairview Drive and then the 1 convenience site up on Buffalo Cove. Those 2 parcels are leased. You can see we have a little over 73 acres that are wooded in those 45 parcels. We maintain weekly over 39 acres of grass, mulch, flower beds, things of that nature that we maintain weekly. We also have over 20 acres of pavement that we try to keep clean, take care of. And then we have a little over 1 mile of gravel road. Now, that gravel road is the 4 tower sites, Butte Mountain, Granite Falls, out at the Sheriff's Department, and then 321 North. So we have to keep those roads graveled, and then we spray them to keep the weeds down also. Take a quick second and look at convenience sites. I want to show you we went back 5 years from 2018. You can see the tonnage of waste over the years pretty much maintains itself. The one thing I did want you to notice that we are trying to improve with Mallory's help, our white good tonnage as far as recycling, that's your appliances. We're trying to get those numbers up a little bit. Also, our recyclables there at the convenience sites. We have some of our convenience sites that way far exceed other convenience sites. So we're hoping that we can get people taught, encouraged. We are in the process. Mallory has been gracious enough to find some grants to do some real nice signage. That we're in process of getting new signage made for all the convenience sites to put up to try to help encourage people the proper way to recycle and what to recycle. Also, our cardboard tonnage, that's been kind of maintaining across the board, but we do want to get all those recyclables up. Then lastly, we have our electronics for the past 5 years. Now, if you'll notice in 2018, we had 21 loads, that's tractor trailer loads that we shipped out in 2018. Those have dropped significantly down to 9 that we shipped in 22. Why did that happen? Electronics have changed over the past 5 years. Well, they've changed a whole lot. We are still getting some of the console, the wood console TVs. We're getting a few of those. We still get a few of the big roll-around projection screens, but a lot of it has gone to the flat screens. With flat screens, you don't have the bulk that you do with the others. So we are able to put those in the big Gaylord boxes, and so that helps in being able to ship. With that, you notice the tonnage has went down a lot. Also, our cost has gone down some, and that is from 2018, we went from $113,000 a year down to $44,000 a year. So being able to get rid of those big wood consoles, and of course, I don't know if you've ever picked up a 27-inch Sony TV or not, one of the tube types, but it'll break your back. So we're still having a few of those type TVs, electronics trickle in, but not as much. It's more, we've made the transition more to flat screens now. So with that, you'll also notice on our savings, in 2020, we were able to change to a different vendor, and that vendor saved us money, plus also that particular vendor, we can take and recycle certain computer electronics, and they will actually pay us for those instead of charging us for it. So you can see we actually get a few $100s a year off of those. In 2020, we had more than ever because here at the county, we were able, through the IT department, they had some that we were able to recycle and get paid for, and then others that we had collected through the school system, they had brought some things in to be recycled. So that's kind of where we're at. Just wanted to kind of give you a quick overview. If you've got any questions.
Bryan, you and I had talked, several weeks ago regarding, I've gotten some complaints and experienced it myself where you have some small building material and there's really nowhere to take that except to the landfill. So if you're in Grace Chapel and you want to go throw half a truckload of building material away, you got to drive all the way out to the landfill. And you had mentioned that you were looking at another site to where there'd be an open top to where we could put that, maybe somewhere in the southern end. Is that still something you're working on?
I'm trying to get Republic to allow us to have one open top that we can put recyclables in, or as far as construction material.
Yeah.
Whenever it's small amounts. The problem is, one person says, well, I've got a small amount, and it's a wheelbarrow load in the back of their truck. Well,
Yeah.
the next person, their small amount is a 16-foot trailer loaded down.
Right.
So the problem we get into there is who decides what that amount is.
Right.
And Republic, they are having some drawback with that. And I understand, because a lot of that stuff, if you put a 8-foot long 2x4 into an open top and it gets hung up in there sideways, then when they go to dump that open top container and that 2x4 is hung in there, it has all that waste that it's holding back. They have to sit the dumpster back down, physically go in there, remove that 2x4, then pick the thing back up. So there's a lot of safety issues there and a lot of time that Republic doesn't have. And I'll give you an example of that. They were down 2 trucks today.
Yeah.
And we had to close a couple of the sites for a couple hours because we were full and they couldn't get to us. So we had to close for a couple hours till they could get trucks back on the road and back to us.
Makes sense.
We are currently working with them also about the Sherrall site there before you go into the landfill. We are talking with them as far as enlarging that site, make it more of what you would consider possibly a mega site, to where we have several open tops there that people can take, and when they have a lot of furniture, construction material, it's right close right there. That way they won't even have to have one of their trucks tagged, because we're looking to make an entrance straight from the landfill into it, and that way they can empty it a whole lot quicker. So we're looking to do that.
Okay. Well, the sites look great. The ones that we've remodeled and redone, they look absolutely wonderful. I've gotten a lot of comments on those, so
Well, thank you.
appreciate your hard work on all those.
Well, thank you. We've still got work at each one to do. We are looking to remodel each one of the attendance buildings to kind of bring them up to speed. They've been let go over the years, and so we're looking to redo those, some new railing, and some new fencing, and planting some different trees in different areas to help beautify and make things look better.
Yep.
And I think you're also looking at some security systems.
Yes.
Because we're routinely having folks break into our convenience sites.
Yep.
Yes.
Break into the buildings, even though there's nothing in there, short of a coffee maker, for the guy working there, but they're busting the glass out or prying the doors open to get inside to the building to find that there's nothing there. So
exactly,
we're hopeful to get some security there. And
we are working with our IT department, looking at different avenues as far as whether we can go with a wireless connection at the sites to provide service for cameras, or whether it's something that we're going to have to actually a hard line. And so we're hopefully we can go all cellular.
But we're just putting folks on notice that it's coming.
Yes.
Which also includes, if you get there a few minutes late and the convenience site's closed, it doesn't mean you can just put your trash on the side of the road.
Or throw it over the fence.
We're going to want to see that too.
Exactly.
So,
we have a lot of that. Folks call, and
it's amazing.
It is. They say
it is.
somebody's dumped trash off in front of such and such convenience site, so we take off and go up there and try to get it up before it gets scattered everywhere.
Hopefully you'll have it set up to whoever's throwing those dang Mountain Dew bottles out there at College Springs. You ride by there about 3 days, there'll be about 20 of them laying out there, and then a tender or somebody goes and picks them up, and then they look like green Easter eggs laying out there in the yard. They're everywhere. So whoever it is, it's the same person doing it.
It is.
But you guys have done a really good job with that. That's probably one of our biggest complaints that we get as commissioners, and that has definitely been reduced over the last few years. And the efforts don't go unnoticed of what y'all are doing there.
Right.
All righty.
All right.
Thank
Any
you,
other questions from anybody?
So you're talking about security, you know, don't we have there's a wireless system out at Wilson's Creek, correct? That works pretty good.
Yes.
I mean, it's not ours, but I know
Right.
there's one there, so I know
Right,
the
they-
ability is to put that wireless system in.
Exactly there, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Next, we're going to have a public hearing regarding the purchase of property pursuant to General Statute 158-7.1, Economic Development. And Donald Duncan is going to enlighten us as to what we're doing right here.
Yes, sir. I'm going to take items 8, 9, and 10, and 11 as one topic, but there will be action items for each one. So we'll begin with opening a public hearing pursuant to statute 158-7.1, whenever you're ready.
All right, so I'll declare the public hearing open for this purchase, and I don't think we had anyone sign up.
No, we did not.
Clerk? Okay, so with that, Mr. Duncan.
Thanks, sir. We do have some visitors here from the town of Cages Mountain. One of the requests that had been made not long after I started work here was to find an adequate EMS-based location in the southwestern portion of the county, because that's a fast-growing portion of the county. We have a lot of call volume there. So different sites were looked at, and actually the county had access to a closed or shuttered medical office owned by the former Valdez Hospital there on Conley Springs Road. I believe it's been shuttered for almost a decade now, but the Sheriff's Department had access to it to go in and do training, simulating entering into an office-type complex and having to have an event there. So we had access to it. We were able to go and view that, and negotiating with the local hospital, they've agreed to sell us the entire portion of the property. It's actually much larger than we need. It's excess of 14 acres. So the idea is, what do we do with the excess amount? So we could buy our property, do our remodel, upfit the building to house an EMS base there, and then you have this remaining acreage that you would auction off. But the concept came about, what if we did a partnership on this piece of property and did it as an act of economic development? I'm not touching this. The man behind the screen is moving stuff for me.
I was going to say, you ain't even moving your hands over there.
So we're working through the idea of what would happen with the remainder of the acreage. So we've consulted with some outside counsel, and the idea is that when the county owns land, how do we put it back to its best use? Should it be non-residential? Should it be something that creates jobs? And right now there is significant housing shortage in the county, as you're well aware. So the property is located at 1901 Conley Springs Road. This is an aerial view of the site. This is some of our latest aerial photography from January of this year. As we said, it's a 14-plus acre site. And let's see here. Now I've got control over it. This is a new map aerial photo just from an angle, so you can kind of see how the property lays. It's actually, for Caldwell County, relatively speaking, the topo is excellent on the site. Sewer is serviced through the town of Cages Mountain, just south of the property. We have water on the front, natural gas is on the site. So this would be a low input development for someone. Here's the current condition of the property. It's a very bland looking building, but I think with some improvements, we could make this into a working facility that would not only be an EMS base, but also increase size and training opportunities for us. Here's the back of the building. You can drive completely around it with the parking system that's there. Potential redevelopment of the site. This is just sketch purposes only. Don't get hung up on the image. The architect got a little fancy with us here. We don't have to go this fancy, but the idea is that we would add on enough bay space here to house not one but 2 ambulances and additional crews there. So if there was a surge, or you needed to have maybe 3 crews here, or you need other apparatus for emergency management, things like that, we would go ahead and build it now for future growth. The existing office building is here, and you have a better site plan and layout at your table. But to take these front bay offices here and turn these into training facilities, where there would be one that's focused on pediatric care, one that simulates going into a bedroom in a home, because our medics have to go into homes mostly, right? Another one would be simulating delivering the patient to the hospital into an ER situation, and there's an ER bay there, which would be this space here. Another one would be focused on what we see most for medical, which is strokes, pulmonary issues, and of course, cardiac arrest. The facility has a radiology room in it. We've remodeled this area, and then it can house a full-size ambulance box in there. So we would simulate a full-size ambulance box, so we'd have continuing ed training for medics as they come on board, and we're training with new equipment. We can set this up with our cabinetry just as it is if it's on the road, and train just like it's there. So we're not having to take an ambulance out of service, but we can equip it and they can work on a patient or a simulated patient there. And then remodeling the building to include offices with Jack and Jill bathrooms, additional bathrooms here. There's where there's actually a lab space, turning that lab space into restrooms. And this would be a restocking area to stock ambulances as they come back. As you know, we use a lot of consumable materials. A lot has to be thrown away, biohazards, things like that, and day room. And so it would be a big investment for the county to make this happen, and I think it would be a long-term project for you. Let's see here. Here's the site behind the property. It's a nice, small rolling hill, just a big field right now, a wooded lot to the back. At least 10 usable acres on this site, which is good. It's pretty high yield. So the idea is, what would we do here? Now, this is not set in stone, but the thought would be is that you would try to create a high-density residential development that's amenable to the community. There's also adjoining property available next door of another almost 20 acres that is similarly situated. So if someone wanted to expand and do more development there, this would be a real opportunity for a potential developer and partner in this project. We don't know what that would look like yet. That's a future phase, but tonight, you'd just be having the hearing to say, here's what we're going to buy the property, here's what we're going to do with it. And then when we go to sell it, we tend to have a negotiated sale of some type, a transaction of some type that's more typical of a commercial transaction than a straight up government auction. This is a potential opportunity here. This is actually an existing development site plan that Shelley and I found, and then she photoshopped in the EMS space in the upper corner here. And then this is what the site plan could yield, So this is just conceptual artwork. There's nothing set in stone yet. Once we get better ideas on the plans, but you could see how it would fit into the property. Another angle there. North would be this direction here, College Springs Road. Then the next part of this project is a opportunity for interlocal agreement. So we've got a lot of moving parts here. We approached the town of Cages Mountain. They've been interested in having an EMS base in their community, having services. Their community grows, and the southwestern portions of the county continue to grow. We have a proposed interlocal agreement here that's solidifying a handshake agreement that we had over the Christmas break with the community. And what it says basically is this, is that the county is going to go in, buy this property, A, B, redesign, rebuild, and remodel and construct an EMS base, and then C, the town of Cages Mountain will make a contribution to us in order to make that happen. And then we have a long-term commitment on this side of up to 35 years. Then the next thing would be is that you would approve a contract that is presented in your packet with Valdez Memorial Hospital to purchase this property in the amount of $625,000, which is a bargain considering the building on it. If we had to go and build this much square footage today, you're looking at just the building alone would be about $800,000 or $900,000. So we're getting a super bargain, and they're a good partner with us. They're a good partner with our medics, and they want to continue to do that. The only question that they've asked is that if we were to sell this building, that they have an option to purchase this building before we take it to the market. Now, under the general statutes, all that says is we call them first and say, hey, somebody's made an offer, you get to counter offer before we go public. That's essentially it. And you'd be agreeing to that. And you do have a signed offer agreement, and we would close within 60 days. Probably the only thing we need to do is do a survey, make sure all of the utilities are located so we can hand that over. And then the next phase would begin, which is also in front of you, would be an RFQ. This would be the county's first design build project. I borrowed a lot of this from the city of Statesville and the town of Rutherford. They just both completed, in Iredell County, all just completed design build projects. Design build has been an option for us since about 2015, but it's not been done. I've not done one, so I've had to learn a lot with this. This would be a proposal that we submit out. We solicit construction firms to come and make a proposal to us. They select a team of engineers and architects, and we interview all of those. We have to interview at least 3. We'll probably interview 4, potentially 5, depending on the quality of our candidates. We then select a group, and we enter into contract negotiation. Once we negotiate a contract for design and construction services, then we start the design process. And so the goal would be is that we be in design and finish by late fall, hopefully early winter, and start construction. And then move into the building potentially in summer, early fall next year, depending on availability of product and weather. So it's a lot to take in, but I've been working diligently with the staff on this, and I think you're going to have a great project at the end of the day. So that is my presentation for the public hearing, and you have several action items we'll have to take once you close the hearing, if there's any questions. Oh, and we do have representatives from the town of Cages Mountain here that may want to speak during the hearing.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
know the mayor's here. And you got anything you want to say about all this, Mayor?
Does this mean I don't have to worry about Ronnie calling me no more and asking me about building a EMS
I make no
station?
guarantees, sir.
I have been bothering Donnie and all the commissioners a whole lot.
He's been a great supporter.
I didn't know if I'd be able to speak or not, but I've been mayor out there 17 years, and for the duration, this is one thing I've been working towards. Much as you want to do what's best for residents of Caldwell County, we want to do what's best for the residents of Cages Mountain. I've got representatives from the town here, and Lloyd Robbins, our mayor pro tem, Richard Andrews, he's on our council, and Randy Fairbairn, our town manager. I guess persistence pays off, don't it, Donnie?
It does, sir.
So I have, I guess I've been, it's fun to be on this side of the bench rather than that side for one time, But anyway, we have heard time and time again about cases with heart attacks and how every minute represents a certain percentage of surviving. And Dino asked me outside, he knew what I was up here for, and he said, how long you been working on this? And I said, 17 years. Initially, I was trying to get some help for elderly people out there to safeguard their health. Well, I'm elderly myself now. So, but I just wanted to share with you on behalf of Cages Mountain Council and the Cages Mountain citizens how much we appreciate your effort and the opportunity for us to work with you and bring this to reality out there in Cages Mountain. It's going to be well received, and I'm sure y'all like somebody thanking you too from this side. We don't, sometimes you don't get that too often. Yeah. You don't get that too often, but I do. Like I said, Lord Robbins and Richard and all, like I said, I've been there longer than anybody, so that's one reason I've been carrying the torch longer than anybody, but they've jumped right on this and helped me with this, and we look forward to having it out there and appreciate the commissioner's help. Donald, I've known him for a long time when he's in municipal government, so I just want to say from above our hearts, thank you for this.
All right, well, thank you, Mayor. And I know as he's stepping away, but this has been a project that's been hot on the burner for the last several years. So much so we've had about 4 different sites that we've identified over there, but we finally landed on this one. And seems like most of the folks who are there are happy about it. And so we're thankful for that, and thankful that we're able to pull this off with the help of the Valdez Hospital. Because they are really the ones that's allowed this as much as anybody, by letting us have the building and be able to purchase it. So I did want to give them an acknowledgement there and their board that has allowed all this to take place. So with that, I will.
Know that
go ahead.
Cages Mountain's put a substantial amount of money in this, but how are we going to fine it? We're going to add this into our budget for the year coming up, and
so you do have an outstanding loan that is still left over from the animal care building. So we'll take those loan proceeds, since we received a grant, a SCIF grant from our wonderful General Assembly. So you have about $3.7 million in loan proceeds still standing out there that you can put toward this project and others if you see fit. And one point on the loan, if we were to renew that loan today under the current interest rates of the market, if we just canceled that loan and issued a new one just for this, you would be costing the taxpayers another $500,000 in interest payments. So it'd be a good use of the money while you got it. Because you're not going to beat that interest rate. It's, Tony here, below 2%, yeah, like 1.9%.
Less than 2%.
Yep,
So that's cheap money.
it is.
And then, of course, the contribution from the town to Cages Mountain, and then the fact that the hospital is selling it at what I would consider a below market rate. One thing I failed to mention too, thank you asking that, Commissioner Branch, is this corner here also has a footer and foundation to it, and can be easily enclosed if we wanted to add a location for a satellite sheriff's office. So we will procure the project with that in mind as a potential opportunity, or whatever office. If the sheriff doesn't need it, someone else need it, you'll have that additional space there that can easily be added to the building.
Plus, we should make a lot of money back off the back property when we sell it.
I think it just depends on what you want to do. You could partner with somebody to get the cost down to make it more affordable. I mean, it's not going to be subsidized housing, but more affordable. Or you could say, hey, you pay us as you sell the units, and that way they don't have the upfront investment in the land, but then they would want to leverage the land, probably say, how do you work all that out? The problem is there's too many good options, so we'll work through that. I've seen it done where you could do a land lease. We lease the property, so they're not having to come up with the upfront capital to help make it more affordable.
But there's a potential revenue stream there from that.
There is.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
So-
And I want to go on record and thank the mayor and the city council there for your persistence and your, focus on this project for so many years. I want to make it known that obviously this would not have happened without your partnership. Could have happened maybe a few years from now, but it would not have happened as quickly. So I want to say thank you for your investment and your partnership with this project to make sure that we fulfill your desires. I know I've been on a commissioner now for 8 years, and we've been having that conversation for 8 years of those 17 years. So thank you for your partnership. We couldn't have done it without you. Well said.
Jeff, did you get everything?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to cut you off, sorry. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, forgive me if I missed that, but have you opened and closed the public hearing?
I've not closed it yet, but
Okay,
I
but
do
we're
have it
ready.
open.
Okay.
As a matter of all this testimony that's coming in right now, so. But if there's nothing else, then I will close the public hearing. And with that closure, I'll call the question and ask what the pleasure of the board is this evening in the purchase of the property pursuant to General Statute 158.7.1. What's the pleasure of the board in the purchase of the property?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we purchase the property that's been described to us this evening under the terms that's been described.
All right. Any other comment or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. Next, then, I'll entertain a motion to enter into the interlocal agreement between Caldwell County and Cagers Mountain. That is the agreement in which they're providing some funding for the purchase of this and outfitting of it. So,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we enter into the interlocal agreement between Caldwell County and Cagers Mountain.
all right, any comment or discussion on the interlocal agreement? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries as well. And next, I'll entertain a motion for an approval to contract to purchase the property in Cagers Mountain. And this again is to execute the contract and purchase it from the hospital board there.
The official name is Blue Ridge Healthcare Hospitals Incorporated of
Blue
North
Ridge
Carolina.
Healthcare Hospitals Incorporated. So do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the contract to purchase the property in Cages Mountain with the described hospital. Blue Ridge.
Oh, I just scrolled over it, I'm sorry. Apologies. Blue Ridge Healthcare Hospitals Incorporated of North Carolina.
There you go.
All right. With that, any other comment or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries as well. And then finally, we've got to have a budget revision under item 11, and that is to make the money moving around in the budget so it can be dispersed for that purchase. And so I'll entertain a motion to have that budget revision.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for the budget revisions for land purchase for EMS base.
All right.
Gators Mountain.
Thank you, Commissioner Branch. Any other discussion or comment? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that carries as well. And then, Donald, you mentioned an RFQ. Do we have to do an action on that tonight, or is that?
You do not. You would
Okay.
approve, once we get a contract negotiated successfully and bring it back to the board, which I hope to do tentatively by the June meeting for your approval, and then we're off to the races. So
Okay.
the staff and I have a lot of work to do between now and then.
All right.
And there would be a closure estimated within 60 days on the property.
Very well. So, is everybody good?
All good.
All right. Thank you again, Gators Mountain, for being here.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Tell the folks that we're really working hard for you.
I appreciate it, I really do.
I did.
Okay. I was, my phone.
Yeah. All right. So that brings us to our consent agenda this evening. And I think we've got several items on our consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, we have a few items for consent agenda tonight. Obviously, the approval of last month's meeting. And in budget revisions, DSS has received additional essential services grant programs funds amount of $9,000. We're implementing new software for building inspections, and so we have to have an overlap with our old software to keep that legacy server up and running. $10,000, that will come from building services fees. It's not going to come out of your general fund budget. Health Department has received another $3,800 in grant funding for sanitation. Anna's gone. I don't know what that is, so you'll have to ask her exactly what that's for.
Well, it's through the Food and Services, I think, and additional training that those folks are being required to attend now for inspections in restaurants and the things that are going on with that, if I'm not mistaken. I remember something about that, a new pipeline coming down, and our folks have to have some additional training, and this is a grant to supply that additional training.
Excellent.
In the amount of about $3,000, if I'm not mistaken, $3,200 something.
Thank you, sir. Application for fireworks at Tri-County Motor Speedway on May 27th and the town of Sawmills on May 13th. The appointment of Ms. Kayla Dillard to the JCPC board effective July 1st. We've had several vacancies over there, so glad to get someone willing to serve on that board. Appointment of Hannah Williams as the plant review officer for the city of Lenoir, and congratulations to Hannah on her new appointment as the city planning director. We look forward to great things from her. She's going to do fantastic. And then, of course, we talked about a grant from DEQ for our Environmental Service Division for $14,000 for environmental assistance and customer service. And then a supportive resolution requesting tax exemption from the North Carolina General Assembly for nonprofits and municipalities and counties. We pay that and then have to file to get it back. And depending on how much construction you do during the year, that's typically at a minimum 500. It can go much higher than that depending on construction projects. And so that's money we pay out and it gets held, interest and revenues earned on that, and we don't get it back for 6 to 8 months sometimes. So it would be helpful to have that cash or that expense lessened rather than waiting on those monies to come back. Sometimes they come back in a future fiscal year. We have to do a journal entry, things like that. So now the likelihood of it happening, can't tell you, but it would be great help to our smaller nonprofits and fire departments.
Yep.
Well, and I'll say too, and then you mentioned construction, but it goes with everything.
Yep.
The purchase of anything that you pay state tax on, you're able to reclaim and get back for these nonprofits and counties and cities. And it's just a lot of paper shuffling that's taking place there when we could just not pay it to begin with, become tax exempt. So, all right. Hearing the consent agenda, what's the pleasure of the board in adopting that this evening?
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept this evening's consent agenda as the county manager has presented.
Any other discussion or comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. And that brings us to our
Mr. Chairman,
adjournment.
I got one more thing.
All right.
Before we should have done it earlier, and I didn't think about it. I'd like to recognize our telecommunicators. It's Telecommunicator Week.
It is, sir.
April 9th, I think, through the 15th is the time set aside to recognize our 911 operators who work very hard. They're always, many times, they're not recognized as first responders, and when they truly are the first responder, because they are the one who takes the initial call when somebody needs help. We're very blessed to have a great team of telecommunicators in our county here, and I want to just go on record to acknowledge them and thank them for their service and all they do for us.
Very well said. And I'm sure there'll be a proclamation somewhere, but we certainly want to recognize them and all that they've done. As an example, just a couple weeks ago, the Saturday that we had all the wind, and I don't know how many calls was answered that day.
Crazy.
With power outages, trees down, and a host of other things. Even babies being born in the middle of that, and grass and woods fires.
Yep.
So, and our telecommunications staff, as well as all the emergency services, handled it flawlessly. And so we're very blessed, and we're thankful that we have those folks.
Yes.
All right. Anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you again for being here.